we're going to keep on bug bashing, okay? And also keep in mind that as we're bashing bugs, we also might be introducing new bugs in the mix. So when you're at work, typically you'll kind of see it going in a cycle. I'm going to finish a bug, but then it's immediately going to go back to QA. So I moved it to done, but realistically it would go back to QA and it would get tested again, okay? So even I'm not going to record myself going through and testing this over and over and over, but I will be doing that in the background, okay? So once you finish testing a feature, you find all your bugs, you go and fix all of those bugs, you're gonna wanna go back and manually test that feature again. And this will start to kind of show you the benefit of automated testing, right? Because if I have my test suite all done, right, spec testing or end-to-end testing, and I make an update to my code, then all I have to do is run my automated test suite, and there you go, I see if I created a new bug in the system. And it makes it a lot quicker, okay? So even though when you're like starting to write tests, you're like, why am I writing this? This is taking so long. It's so much easier to manual test. Once you kind of start getting in this process and the projects get bigger and more complicated and you have more people working on it, automation's really the way to go, okay? Which we will move into, at least in terms of a few spec tests on the back end to just kind of give you an idea of how it would work. But we'll continue with manual for now, okay? Because I truly believe that when you are doing something and you hit a roadblock or you hit a problem where you're like, oh my gosh, this is so tedious, okay? Then you start to see why the best practices are the best practices. So if I make you manually test over and over and you get tired of it, then you're going to be excited to write your spec tests, hopefully, or you're going to be at least like on board with writing them and write. And you would also know what kind of spec test you want to write because there's a need for it versus someone just telling you to write them. All right, that is enough of me lecturing you. Let's get to it. All right, so now we are going to be working on user can save a blank password when editing their account details. All right, so to be honest, I'm not really sure exactly what's happening with this bug, okay, behind the scenes. I don't know if it's saving a blank password. I don't know what it's doing. So when you don't know what's going on with your code, you need to start adding some console logs. So that's what we're gonna do. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and here I'm going to say console.log field. And I'm going to do account.dto.field, and then we're going to console.log value account.detail.dto.value. Okay, and so now I'm going to get to see what is getting passed in with this password. Okay, and then I can kind of go ahead and go from there. All right, because you see when it gets brought in, all right, let's go over to our auth service. All right, we're finding the user associated with the username, okay? I am curious what we're passing into this because I don't remember. All right, field, value, and username, okay. All right, so we're finding the user, okay? And then we're going through a series of conditions, right? We're saying if it's a password, then we are going to want to hash it, okay? And then we're going to want to save the hashed value password in there, okay? So that is all well and good, all right? But I don't really know what this plain text password is when it's blank, okay? So I'm also gonna go to the user details row and I'm gonna take a look here because I might be able to fix it on the front end. Okay, so if field is email, which field is not email, so we're not gonna worry about that. If value state is blank, then we're gonna show an error and then we're gonna return. Set value state, and if it's not password, we'll set it back to what it originally was, okay? So to me, that says that we're not even gonna see the console log on the back end because we are returning, okay? So let's go ahead and, but obviously something is not happening correctly. Okay, so it says, please enter a valid value. Please enter a valid value. See, now I'm confused as to what users can save a blank password when editing their account details. But see, I can't. It's not sending it to the back. So what was it doing? Did I do like a space? Okay, and it's saved a space. All right, so if I log out and I do Donald Duck, then space, it works because it changed it to space. So let's change it back to my original. Oh, you know what it was? I think it's, okay. Okay. So I just changed it to test-1234. I think what is happening is if I click it, it gives me this, okay? If I just click save, then you would think as a user, it is going to save, it's just gonna keep your password what it is, okay? But the issue is, okay, so it's saying field test-1234. Okay, so now, that's interesting because that is what it is, okay? Field. Okay, so if the field, this is the hard part of doing this when it's like, all right, so now if I log out and I do Donald Duck test-1234, I'm able to log in. Okay, so I'm gonna restart my server. Okay. Oh, because I had previously made it test-1234, and so it saved it into that thing. Okay, so do you see how now if okay, so do you see how bugs can be really weird? Because I was working with it before, it had saved on the front end test-1234, but now on my first initial view of the page and edit, it saves all of these asterisks, okay? And so what it's doing now is it's saving my password as these asterisks, okay, which is not correct, because then, so I'm gonna copy that, all right, and now I'm gonna try to log out, and I'm going to show you, okay, so if I do in test-1234, which is what I want my password to be, and as a user, what I would expect my password to be, it's gonna tell me there was a error, right? But if I do Donald Duck and I paste in those asterisks, it's gonna sign me in, okay? So the issue is that first time, if I hit check, as a user, I think it's just saving my current password, but it's saving the asterisks. So I actually think I can just fix this on the front end, and I don't even need to worry about it on the back end. So I am going to do, so we have if field is equal to email. Okay, so I'm gonna say if value state because now, okay, so where my head is going, sorry, I got quiet there because I was thinking, but what I was thinking about is like, now what if I'm a user and I wanted to make my password all of those asterisks, okay? But now I think we're just getting a little bit ridiculous, and this is also where some requirements for passwords would come in handy. So I'm gonna say, if value state is an empty string or value state is equal to those asterisks, then we're gonna send an error. Please enter a valid value. I don't like that either. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We are going to not show that when we hit the check. Okay, so when I hit the edit for these, it shows me what I'm working with. For password, I want it to not do that. So on click edit, they are setting update field equal to not. Okay, so my input, okay, so value state is going to be field is equal to password, we're just have it be blank. Otherwise, we'll have it be the value state. Okay, so this makes sense here. Okay. All right, so let's edit this. So now the thing is empty, and then I click Yeek. Okay, no, we're gonna have it be, see, this is the fun about bug bashing. You create bugs that you didn't even think would exist, and then you gotta be creative in how you fix it. All right, so my value state is equal to the value that is getting passed in. So I am going to go to profile, and I am going to take a look, and the value that's getting passed in is this, but I'm going to copy that out, and I'm going to send in a blank. Okay, and instead here we are going to all right, the text is going to be the field. So the text here, field equals password, would be this or value state. Okay, so now let's refresh this. I'm going to restart my server so that way I can see a solid. Okay, so if I go to edit this, it's empty. If I go to check, it says please enter a valid value. Okay, so it won't let me just leave it as is. I have to type something in. Now I'm gonna type in these asterisks, and it should let me save that as my password, and it does. So I'm gonna log out, and I'm gonna go to Donald Duck, and I'm gonna paste in my asterisks and press submit, and it does log me in. I can, right? It's gonna be empty. I can put my original password, test-1234, back in, and it's gonna save it, okay? And my Donald Duck looks good. We just created, see, this is what I'm talking about at the beginning of the video. We created a new bug by fixing the bug in the last one, okay? So technically Donald Duck already exists, all right? So when we try to send it to the back end, it's getting mad at us and saying, no, you can't save that because Donald Duck as a user already exists. So you can't save Donald Duck. So what I would do on the front end is, if value state equals value, we are going to do a error message. So, okay, let me explain what I'm going to try to do. What I'm trying to do is I don't want to send it to the back end. But I don't want it to be an error message, because I want you to be able to be like, oh, I'm going to edit this as Donald Duck and then save it as Donald Duck, okay? So I'm going to say if the value state is blank, we'll do that. And then we're going to say if value state is equal to value, meaning that it didn't change, then we're just going to return. Okay, so then I should be able to click check. But I'm going to need to set update field to, okay, so I should be able to just check. Okay, so if I don't change it, it's not going to say send anything to the back end now, which solves the bug that we just created by fixing another bug. And same with email, except just kidding. Okay, so we want to actually move this out of here because this is if it's not email. All right, so now let's try this. Okay, so email, username, password, except it did change, so that's not completely fixed yet. Donald Duck. All right, so that's looking good. I'm gonna restart my server so I have a clean thing, and we still have some investigation to do in terms of this pesky little password. All right, so Donald Duck, I decide I'm not gonna change my name, we're good. Username or email, I decide I don't wanna change it, decide I don't wanna change it. Okay, so now when I click this, it's giving me password. Because at some point on this page, I reset the password. And when I did that, it set the value state to send. All right, so I'm going to refresh the page. Okay, so it's blank. Saying enter valid value. So now what I want to think about here is, so that is setting it as value state. If field is equal to email, all right. My logic is confusing me. So when that happens, that means we need to start console logging, and that is okay. So the first thing that I'm going to do is refresh the page because I want to start clean. All right. We do notice that we have a difference in between on first try and on next. So we're going to say field is going to be equal to field. And then we're going to console log value is going to be equal to value. And let's get that right. So we're just start with this. The goals, we just want to understand our code at this point. Okay. So this is on clicking of check. Okay. So when I click check, I see the field is password and the value is blank. Okay. So let's go and look at that. So if the field is email, it's not email. So we're gonna go down. If the field is empty, we're gonna toast an error here. Okay. If the field is not equal to password, set value state equal to value. That's the part that I think that we can get rid of, because here we have input values equal to value state. Okay. And then here we changed it so the text is not going to be equal to value state. So I don't think we need this anymore. So I'm going to comment it out to make sure that that didn't do anything weird. And I'm going to refresh my page. Okay. And so value is going to be blank. And so I get my error message. Okay. So what I'm going to go do here then is I'm going to just put something like default. Okay. So instead of it being blank and mad, it's going to be default. And let's see. So it looks like it's saying default here. And then if I do it, it's saying default and it's unchanged. Okay. So unchanged means it's not hitting the back end. All right. Because that's here. So we're going to say if user doesn't make a change. Okay. So I'm gonna get rid of this because this doesn't seem to be doing anything. But in the input for value state, that is what that's going to be equal to. So value state originally is value. All right, but we want to make it value only if it's not password. If it is password, okay, so let's try field is equal to, I don't even know if we can do this, so that's good. It's probably gonna yell at me. Field is equal to password, then we're gonna do empty to start out with, otherwise we'll do value. Okay, so I'm gonna refresh my page and I'm gonna click edit. Okay, so it looks empty here. Okay, and so then I'm gonna click check. All right, and it's mad at me. Let's see, the value is default. Let's see what it's checking. It's checking if value state is equal to empty string. Okay, so we want it to be if value is equal to empty string, but like the user okay, and then we're gonna put in parentheses field is and field is equal to password and value and field is not equal to password and value is not equal to default. All right, let's see there. Edit. Okay, there was an error, please try again. Okay, so we didn't get here if value state is equal to value. So maybe we don't want to do this password. So wow, this password thing is really messing us up. And honestly, it was hacky of me to do this asterisk thing. So that's kind of making me feel like probably shouldn't have done just some hard-coded things. All right, so I'm gonna put this back to value. All right, and I'm gonna take away my empty string, this. All right. Okay, so input value. Okay, so we're gonna say value is not equal to default. Then we'll have it be value state. Otherwise, we'll have it be blank. All right, let's try that. All right, save. Okay, so that might have fixed it. If this is, if someone wanted to pick default as their password, that's going to be a little bit of an issue. So we might need to do like a timestamp or something like that. But I'm gonna leave it as default now and just, you can't use default. Okay, so default comes in, okay, and so it's blank. If I click check, nothing happens on the back end because I didn't change my password. Okay. If I click check and I decide I do want to change it, so I change it to change. Ooh. So we got to do value state here. Let's refresh the page to try this. Okay, so value state is default. So then let's do, if I type in change, my password got changed to change. Okay, so let's log out. Let's type in Donald Duck and then the word change, and that works. Okay, so update it to nothing, update it to blank. Ooh, it doesn't work if it's blank. Okay, but value state is not an empty string. We're close. I feel like we're close, guys. Okay, so value state is equal to value, then we're not going to do anything, which is when it's default. If value state is blank, meaning that they typed, so if they don't type anything, it's just the same, right? But if they type something and then they go untype it, now, oh, perfect. Now that's a blank, and so it errors. Okay, so let's type in something and click save. Okay, so now my password is something. If I click here, it shows my something that I typed in, which is fine. And then if I click save, it's going to be just something. And then if I get rid of the whole thing and click save, it's gonna say it's mad at me. So if I click change, it changes. Okay, this solves the bug. I don't think it's perfect still, but I'm gonna say it's okay because at least we're not gonna lock someone out of their account on accident by us filling something in here. Okay, so I am going to go ahead and move this to done. Okay, and I think that this will just be something in a make it better, I guess, in time. I think we want to do add password requirements, investigate UI for password editing. All right, I'm going to end the video here, and I will see you in the next one to smash another bug.